So you got your job offer, you accepted your job offer, and now you're joining the company. That's amazing. That's an amazing news. And we understand that the process was not easy until now, but I'm happy that you had the right information, direction, and that you felt you were working on your confidence to get here. So let's close our eyes and pretend that this just happened, that you got your offer, you accepted, and you're just about to get into your new job. What to expect? What are the key differences? What are the changes? What you should do? How you should approach the situation? So in this video, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about your onboarding process. That's what we called when someone joins a new company, we call onboarding. Here in Canada, we tend to say that your onboarding usually lasts 90 days because we think about your first 3 months as a way for you to ramp up to your new job, to your new role. That's the right time for you to get used to the new company with the culture, get to know people, and start showing some work. I know we tend to be very anxious about showing our work and proving ourselves and showing how good you are, but there are methodology to this madness of the 90 days. There's in fact a book that I like a lot. It's called Your First 90 Days by Michael Watkins, and I suggest everyone to read it because it kind of like sets some ground rules and some plan for you to really elevate yourself, because we have to understand that up to now we've been trying to work on your brand visibility, your confidence level for you to find a role. But now that you found a role, we need to maintain that role. We need to ensure that you have the right capabilities, that you're showing your skills, and that you're making the right connection and performing at the highest level so you can really thrive in your new role. So let's go with the assumption that it's all good. So what happens right after you sign the offer? So you sign the offer, everything is good to go, and you are starting next Monday, right? You can expect to receive a few emails or notifications from the company that you're going to be joining. Depends how big the company is. If the company is really well structured, if they have a lot of systems in place, you can expect to receive a lot of the automated messages like, we're really excited to have you. You're going to be joining us in a couple of days. Please do XXX tasks. So there are tasks that you usually have to do before you join the company, like signing some documents, signing some agreements, reading some of their policy. So this is kind of normal and standards to some of the companies here in Canada. But also on your first day, you will receive usually a booklet about their benefits because you need to enroll on their benefits. So let's say that the company has benefits to provide you. You need to understand their benefits plan. You need to read and understand, okay, do I want, plan A, B, or C? And how much of that I'm going to be charged for every month. So you have to talk to HR and understand all those situations. And that usually happens, right before you join to up to the first week of your new role. So there's all this paperwork that you're going to have to take care of. So don't go crazy. Just expect that you're going to receive some forms to fill out, the tax forms as well, information about your bank information for payroll and all those things. So just expect for those things to happen. And also, I would like for you to think and kind of manage your expectations and manage your anxiety level as you go through the first 90 days. Because again, we tend to want to prove ourselves so badly on the first 30 days and the first couple of weeks, and sometimes we burn bridges. So just, start slowly, get integrated, get to know people, and then you can, go through the process smoothly. So I'm just going to talk about some of the basics of this book. And again, I think it's a really good book. So if you have the opportunity, try and read that. But the key concepts of this book, there are three. One is learn fast. The second one is build key relationships. And three is set early wins. So let's just talk a little bit about each one of those. The learn fast part, what it really talks in the book and what you're really trying to say is learn everything from everyone. and from all methods that it's possible. So if there's a company portal, really go dig and try to understand the company portal, the values, the policies, the projects, what's going on. Learn from people. Talk to them about the culture, the values, the norms. There are the norms that are in the book, but there's like unspoken norms. Things that happens that usually if you go for a coffee chat, you can probably, get and understand those things. So through the learning fast phase, try to expose yourself to situations where you're going to be learning from others and where you're going to have this opportunity to really absorb all the knowledge that you can. So either by shadowing someone from a technical perspective or having some conversations to really get to understand the company. That actually goes really closely with the build key relationships. Obviously, here we're talking about forming relationships with team members and supervisors and peers, and and you start with your own team, and then you start going a little bit, broader and a little bit broader and broader, because it is important for you to start understanding each one's role in the organization, how they impact you. Almost you wanted to design a map of how your role impacts all these people around you. And I usually, when I join a company, I like to almost like create an organogram, like create an org chart. And by creating this org chart, you can put yourself and then you understand who is your peer, who is above you, who is below you, who reports to you, right? Like, and what are the teams that have daily interaction, weekly interaction? Which teams depend of my work? If you think about the supply chain, what teams goes before me, the teams that goes after me, and so forth. So, and then you start putting the names and start having coffee chats with each and every one of those people. Ping them on, MS Teams or Slack or whatever, Skype, whatever the tool that they use, and say, hi, I'm Marina. I'm just, I just joined the organization. I'm trying to get to know everyone. Would you have 10, 15 minutes to have a coffee chat? It could be virtual, it can be in person, so we can get to know each other. So then take notes, understand who is who, understand who are the key players, who are the decision makers. You start kind of like analyzing and creating again this design of this organization and how do you fit in. Once you do that, you start thinking about early wins. In Canada, and like there's a very common sentence that we say is like the low hanging fruits. The low hanging fruits, think about of a tree, right? That are the low hanging fruits that are just very easy for you to just catch, versus the ones that are way too high that you need to climb the tree or you need some support to get there. So what are the low hanging fruits? What are those quick wins? Things that you can quickly do, small projects, small wins, things that you know that you're good, that you can do it, that you know that the team needs, that you can immediately get done, and that already shows some of your value. Those are very important ones. And by having those conversations, by having those coffee chats, by understanding the org chart and who is who, you can define and understand what are the needs of that group, what are the needs of the team and the organization, and how can you show your value. So by understanding those three pillars, again, learning fast, building key relationships, and defining early wins, you can achieve success in your 30, 60, and 90 days. But obviously, you're not going to go crazy on the first 30 days and burn some bridges or just burn out yourself. So, what are the things you should be focusing on the first 30 days, in your first 60 and 90 days? So, let's just talk about that for a bit. The first 30 days, it is expected for you to be learning, nothing more than that. Very rarely, I would see a company or I would know about someone who joined a company and there was a pressure for them to perform. This pressure, we are the ones who put that in ourselves. Usually, I do not see that pressure from their leaders or from the environment for people to perform on their first 30 days. So don't bring that pressure with you. There's no expectation for you to be doing, crazy amount of work or just already having some of those wins in your first 30 days. The first 30 days is for you to get settled. It's for you to learn, for you to understand who is who, for you to understand the team goals, for you to understand who is your team, who is the next team, who are your peers, how people act, what is the approval process, who has more decision power, who is the person who usually leads the conversations, and understanding the players and understanding how do you fit in that dynamic. You're also going to learn obviously about the job. So here I'm talking about the dynamics, the culture, right? But you need to understand obviously the technical aspect. So if it's something that you already know, let's understand how people do what you do within that company. Are there any differences? Are there different ways or processes that you should be aware? So ask to review the process. Ask people who know the process how the process is done. Ask for courses if that's the case. Usually in companies, especially the big ones, well-structured companies, they would have mandatory learning courses that you need to take, like risk, like anti-money laundering and like all those things. There's also mandatory courses that people have to take. You use those 30 days to take those courses as well, because then you can get done with. Every year you have to repeat them, but at least you can get that done with because there's not a lot of pressure for you to perform. Focus on that. Focus on training, focus on understanding culture, values, dynamics, people, processes, and approval processes as well, and the dynamics around that. After the 30 days, on your first 60 days, you're going to start contributing it more actively. You're going to start and understand what is your role, what is the dynamic between you and the other people, and how you can take on more responsibilities. You now understand better the process. You now understand the technicalities of what you do and the people around you. So maybe you can start, working closely with someone and you start asking, hey, I know you have a lot on your plate. Why don't you give me that so I can work on this? So you can start doing those things. You can start, raising your hand in meetings and being like, I have some free time. Is there anyone who can show me the process and I can take on this responsibility? So in the first 60 days is where you're going to really start showing up and presenting yourself more confidently, understanding the processes, understanding the dynamics, and showing that you understand that so people feel comfortable for you to take on this responsibility. This is also the 60 days is also where you're going to start building the relationships more strongly, the ties, because up until your 30 days you've been more getting to know people. Now you know them already a little, you know them already, and you can build a little bit stronger ties. You know who you can trust, you know the people that you cannot trust, and you can start understanding that better. And then within your 90 days, from 60 to 90, let's say, this is where you're going to start deliver some visible results. Here is where you're going to be like, okay, those low hanging fruits that I noticed by talking to all these people, understanding the processes with 60 days. Now you know what are some of the projects that you want to pick. You already rose your hand to say, I want to take on this. I want to take this responsibility. So now you can start showing results. The outcomes are probably going to arrive, are probably going to come within your 90 days. So let's think about that. Within those 90 days, we went from not knowing anyone to start learning about the organization, the people, the processes, to start taking on responsibilities, understanding and contributing a little bit more, building relationships to actually start delivering results. So that was an ascent, right? We were slowly building up to your 90 days. 90 days is a great time to have a conversation. How am I doing? Talk to your lead. How are you doing? What are some of the things that you should continue improving? Some of the things that they believe that you should be focusing on. Are there any new processes? Are there any new things that I have not know? Are there any people that I haven't talked so far that I need to get to know them? So these conversations within the 90 days, they are pretty good because you already showed yourself, you already proved yourself, and you already had the opportunity to get exposure to processes and to show the outcomes of the projects that you've been working on. In Canada, your probationary period usually goes from 3 to 6 months, 6 months being the more common one. So if you have that in your employment agreement on your offer letter, don't worry about it. That's normal. And honestly, it doesn't mean a lot in Canada because they need to give you at least 1 week notice anyway. So you don't need to worry about it. The most important thing is that you ask for these conversations. Remember, you are the owner of your career, you are in the driver's seat of your career. With that, you should be the one seeking for feedback and asking for feedback and understanding what can you do better. So having that in mind and really setting up that plan of 30, 60, 90 days, understanding how you can learn fast, build relationships, and define and achieve some early wins, that's how you're going to thrive. That's how you're going to go through your probationary period being a superstar. And people are going to think that they were really sure about this decision that they made. So here I want to give an option for you to create your onboarding action plan. So as soon as you get hired, as soon as you receive that job offer and sign the job offer, create your onboarding action plan. Think about those 60, 30, 60, 90 days. What are some of the learning goals? What are some of the relationship goals that you have? How many coffee chats do you want to have? Write the information that you're getting from these coffee chats because by understanding what's happening in the organization and within the team, that's how you can define the projects that you want to work on, the quick wins that you might have. Because when you talk to people, they're going to be like, oh, yes, we always have this project had that problem. So by understanding what people are saying, it's when you actually are able to define what are the quick wins. So understand the organization, get to know people, and get your job right. That's all you need to do for your 36 to 90. And I'm sure they're going to be very comfortable with the decision that they made. Well, I wish you the best of luck. You know that I'm here always cheering for you, and always you can always count on me. As I mentioned, you had a long journey to get up to here, to get to your job. Now you have another new journey of professional development, of learning, and some challenges for sure. But I am sure you're going to thrive, and I'm sure you can figure it out. The next path for you to continue growing and developing your career. It was a pleasure, and thank you so much.